kindly keep the questions brief so that we can take more questions.
All right, thank you very much. My name is Stella G. Sogli. I work with Ghana Web. So I heard the Honorable Minister say that individual bondholders will not be affected. So can you give us a vivid breakdown of the particular people whose debt instruments will be affected? Because there's been reports in the media that some EcoBank, Data Bank, and other people are losing part of their investment. So we would like to kindly know which people are going to be affected.
Thank you for the question, please.
Hi there, my name is Cooper Inveen from Reuters. I kind of want to elaborate on that question a little bit more. We talk about individual bondholders not being affected, but a lot of retail investors in bonds actually hold their bonds through pension and mutual funds, which I presume would be classified as institutions. So how would individuals who hold their bonds through pension and mutual funds be protected? Thanks.
Thank you for the question.
My name is Esther Edu from GTV, and I would like to know if the extension in the maturity dates of the bonds will not have a devaluation effect on their investment, talking about the time value of money for the bondholders.
Thank you for the question, Minister. We can take two more before we invite the Minister for his responses.
Okay. My name is Winston with Metro TV. I heard the Finance Minister say he intends to bring a single-digit inflation come soon. Already we are hovering around 44.4%. We have not yet seen any clear path policy-wise in how we intend to bring inflation downwards. Also, I'd like to inquire from the Finance Minister concerning yesterday's statement that the Finance Minister said the Treasury bills are protected as there's full redemption for the domestic debt, but the other local debt instruments, such as the fixed debt, bank debt holdings, are to be exchanged for 4 instruments with different maturity dates. So implicitly, there's going to be haircut. Compared to what he said, there will not be haircut going forward.
Thank you for the question. We can take one more, then we'll go to the Minister for his responses.
All right. My name is Ebenezer Sabute from JFM. Okay, my name is Ebenezer Sabute from JFM. My first question has to do with market confidence. I want to know the plan government is trying to do to ensure that this doesn't affect market confidence. And then secondly, it's like everyone is taking a hit from this crisis. What hit is government taking to ensure that we all, share we all contribute to getting this economy back on track? Thank you.
Okay, so I'll invite Mr. Akes for some of the responses that are related to debts. And if the Minister wishes to respond to some other questions on policy, then he will take that. Okay. Oh, yes, please.
Mr. Akes is the Director of Debt, and he will be answering most of the questions. But the last question was interesting for me, the issue of market confidence. And the challenge really for us as a nation is that we are where we are. The question really is, what direction do we take? Do we take an orderly approach to it with cynicism, or a disorderly approach to allow things to just go? And I think that's deeply the question that we should ask ourselves. Where do we want our nation to go where we are at this present time? And therefore, how are we going to evangelize this message in a way that says that this is the orderly approach? You know, we did assume an IMF program which we successfully went through. So we should be hopeful that when we commit to this program, we also are going to successfully go through. And I think that has to be sort of the overriding sense of determination to get through this. If not, then we can't, as a people, walk through this. So it's important that we all take our personal responsibilities towards rebuilding this broken wall. Then you talked about the issue of what is government doing. It's a very interesting question, because if you look at the budget, you know, we agreed to a 3.7% adjustment, of which we front-loaded 2% into the first year. Now that is huge adjustment to be able to go through that. Of course, there are the issues of, well, what do you do with government expenditure, etc. And the administrative measures that we took are not insignificant, you know, and those should be appreciated. World Bank is also helping us to look individually at all of these flagship programs, etc., so that, you know, we'll be able to make them more efficient. But truly, this is a junction that we have to make a decision as a nation to go forward, think through the orderliness of it going forward, and know that whether it's Greece or Jamaica or Ghana, that we shall succeed and triumph in that. And I think we really need to get into a very positive mindset, you know, hold us accountable, but all of us, family by family, participate in what is ahead of us. So I'll have Mr. Arkes, who is a technical person, director at the ministry, you know, go through maybe a few presentations on some technical issues, and through that also respond to the various questions that you have put before us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. And I would spend some bit of time to explain some of the issues that have been put on the table. And I think I will add on to the Honorable Minister, so I'll follow from the side. There are a lot of that. The market confidence can be measured scientifically. As you can see, on 29th of November 2022, Moody's downgraded Ghana again. This year, we've had all the three major sovereign credit rating agencies downgrading Ghana. These three command more than 98% of the world's global ratings. And since 2003, this is the lowest level we've ever been. And that is a sign of the confidence of the market. Again, you can also look at the second indicator, something that the finance people call the spread. So the spread is just measuring all the available instruments for investors to fund, and then picking the most safe of all of it, and then measure all the others to that. Now, when you cross 1,000 basis points, then it's a sign of how the market see you as a risk. And at that point, we had reached almost about 3,000. Now, if that reaches 3 months, it's temporal. If it's 6 months, it's temporal. When it gets to 1 year, then it is becoming permanent. And that means we must do something about it to restore the confidence. So the question you asked can be explained from this nomenclature. And when you read the fine lines of their report, you will see that they mention in very subtle sense that if we turn the economic crisis out positively, you will see that upgrades would go up, and that will show confidence moving up. So that would be a good measure for us all to have a look at. There was another question about the individual. The individual in this case is a natural person. All of us sitting here are individuals, so we are natural. I can see you, you can see me, you can talk, we can talk. So you're natural. And if you're registered in the CSD, so in the list that you have, the CSD has registry of everybody who has invested in government instruments. So if it's an individual, it is tagged as such. So it's easy to identify who an individual is. But I think our colleague raised a concern as to what happens to a mutual fund, Meaning if all of us here put our funds together into a pot, and then we express Madam to manage it for us into government instruments, some private instruments, real estate, or any other asset class, what happens to you, the individual, in that pot? In that case, you're talking about a collective scheme. You're talking about all of us together. But if all of us are together, there may be a reason why you may want to go out as an individual. But in that case, the registry is for all of us as a collective sense. The decision individual will take usually must be seen within the bigger context of why you are an investor and then what you want to do going forward. The details, as Honorable Minister mentioned, of classes of assets like that will be dealt with when the regulators come and have discussions with you. So I think that answers the position of the individual. Now, I think I heard a question on a haircut. Haircuts can come in 3 forms, or it's in quotes, haircut. It's a simple name for restructuring or something like that, if you want to put it that way. But the first one will be, assuming you are holding a 3-year bond, and for whatever reason, I wouldn't be able to pay you back, and I extend the time from 3 years to 5 years. It gives me time on maturity so that I can pay at a later date. That is one form. Another form could be that I am going to take your principal, if you brought in 1,000 Ghana cedis, and I'm going to reduce that in a sense, right? So that can be, in quotes, a haircut. But in this case of the debt exchange, the amount of money has not been extended or reduced. And then in our portfolio, we have maturing bonds that go up to almost about 20 years or 18 years. But if you look carefully in the bonds that the Honorable Minister mentioned, it's starting 2027 to 2037. So between about 5 years to 15 years. And the mix will go for everybody. So a weighted average may be around 10%, so lower a bit than the maturity that we do have here. Now, somebody will ask, inflation now is at 40%. So real costs of funding should be about 40%. But at 40%, how many emerging market cost of funding? What business can you do to have this very sticky, high and expensive cost of borrowing? If I'm doing a business, then it means I have to apply 40% on top of that. Would the sovereign be able to honor that if I give you a 10-year bond and it's at 40 fixed income, 40% every 2 years, almost the principal is paid out as interest cost? Within the life cycle of 10 years, the principal will have paid about 4 times, not the principal. All of us sitting here, if you were owning our companies with that kind of cost structure, how would you fare? So on one side, you are benefiting from the interest, but it's also a cost for us. When you look at the economy together, all of these market players, both the borrower and the lender, are all operating. So the question is, are we happy as a people with that high cost regime? I think looking at your faces, the answer is no. So we may have to do something about it, and that's why the macro setup is key. And I think the budget in various paragraphs highlighted it. So the question here is, the principal is guaranteed. The ability to pay is also measured against the stress tests that has been done on the financial institutions. Don't forget our money is in the financial institutions. These are heavy directions of things. And as the Honorable Minister mentioned, in Jamaica, in Greece, Argentina, in other countries, it is not an easy decision to make. It has far-reaching consequences. But you will consider the decision on the interest cost against the stress it can put on the entire financial sector and have a balancing act that satisfies an optimal choice across everyone. So the choice of the step up in the interest rates is trying to address exactly the capability and ability of the sovereign to be raising the funding to pay for that. But the question is not only on the interest. Look into the budget statement carefully. When you go into the fiscal, you go into the overall balance, you see 3 items there. One called net domestic financing, you see net foreign financing, and then you will see an item called exceptional financing. In the foreign financing, you see amortization of loans, meaning we pay back. You see amortization when maturities occur. But in the net domestic financing, where all these bonds are, there's no amortization. What does that mean? It means we are rolling over all the time. But in this case, these bonds are going to be what we call exit bonds. So in the first instance where the Honorable Minister mentioned 2027 maturity, in actual fact in 2026, half of the instruments that will be in will be paid back. And the last of that in 2037 will be paid back. In 2029, a similar thing will happen. Half will be paid back in 2028 and half will be paid back in 2029. Similar to 2032, that will be paid in 3 equal installments because the Honorable Minister mentioned 25% of the allocation will be there. So that's larger than the 17. So it will be divided into 3. So 3 years prior, all that stock will be paid. Then the last one, which is 2037, is large, but it will start amortizing 5 years before 2037. The idea is to provide liquidity. The idea is to ensure a balance of the coupon payment and ability to pay the stock off. Otherwise, the way we're going, it will have been difficult to manage that. So that is a plus. When you do a net present value term, that adds and reduces the risk involved in. So I think, Honourable Minister, I believe I've taken a bit of time to explain. It's a bit technical, but I think I've tried to give the, in simple terms, the answers to that. Thank you very much.
Okay. So we'll take the last set of questions. So if you have any question, show by hand. They'll bring the microphone to you.
Good morning. My name is Joshua from the Business and Financial Times. Given that 2023, the government is looking at saving about 31 billion cedis in net, that's interest cost. How much are we looking at saving, given that this debt exchange program is coming on from next year? How much are we looking at saving in terms of interest cost next year? And also, yesterday, the minister also mentioned that the fund which is being set up will be government-led. But I just want to find out also that would it be, just for clarity, would it be an IMF-led sort of fund whereby it will give some sort of confidence to any bilateral or multilateral partners that will come in? All right, thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Thank you so much. My name is Sani Abdurrahman. I work with the Media General, Ghana. First of all, I want to know, the conversation has largely centered on the domestic. Of course, we are here to launch that program. The international community, the international lenders, the external lenders are also anxious, wanting to know what the engagement would be like in terms of the bonds they are holding. So if Honourable Minister can share some details on that. Also, in the 2023 budget, we've seen that the deficit or the shortfall is around 61 billion Ghana cedis. If you do simple mathematics, even 15 cedi to $1, that is like $4 billion. A lot of people are worried that that's not an indication that the government is committed to some sort of fiscal discipline, because in difficult time like this, we expect the government to slow down on expenditure, to signal the international community that there is commitment to fiscal consolidation. We haven't seen that. If there is any explanation that they can offer, I'll be glad. And
please, you've asked 2 questions. Let's leave it at that so that your colleagues will also get the opportunity to ask their questions.
Okay, I'm Natalie Nettie from Citi TV. I would like to know, can the individual bondholders sell their bonds to banks after the exercise? And if so, will government pay the banks the original coupon?
My name is Nanoye Ankra from Asase Radio. I want to know where you are drawing the money into this Financial Stability Fund. Also, what is the communication plan to get the people, ordinary Ghanaians, like people in the market, to understand this, because this morning I got some indication that people were rushing to some savings and loans to take their money. So I'd like to know what the plan for communication is.
Thank you for the question. Okay, we can take 2 more. Okay.
My name is Winston of Metro TV. My question is, the finance minister said that this bond exchange program is a pre-requirement to secure IMF support. What other requirements are we not aware of? Can he give us more insight? Also, he said that the community collaboration with the Security and Exchange Commission, initially the Security and Exchange Commission gave support in the initial financial sector cleanup. Are we to anticipate more economic challenges? Because in the report released yesterday, he said that they have to use every appropriate approach or measures to ensure the impact does not affect individual bondholders. So are they open to use any economic or financial method to their advantage without any control from the finance ministry? Thank you.
Okay. Last, the final question. Okay. We'll take only one. That should be the last.
My name is Morris. I work with Ghana Television. I want to understand, at the finance ministry, was there any point where the team realized that our debt was entering into unsustainability realms, and what was done about it? Was this whole challenge a surprise on government or the finance ministry? Ask this question so that we do not come back, some few years later and talk about debt restructuring. And also with the media, I want to understand, how do we communicate this whole thing to assist government to boost the confidence? Because it is what it is.
Okay, thank you. I take that to be the last question. Unfortunately, we cannot take everybody's question, so please. Okay, so I'll invite Mr. Akes for some responses.
Thank you very much. Quite a large number, so you have to help me a little bit to remember all of them. But I will start off from the point of the, there were 2 related questions. One of them was the budget deficit, and then also the savings that could come on. So it's, the Honourable Minister for Finance presented a budget statement on 24 November. That budget is a pre-debt exchange budget. So we'll call it like no policy change budget. So what you see there as a deficit, if we complete the implementation of this, then that budget will have some revisions. So most definitely that deficit you see there will decline. Again, when you look into that budget, you would have seen a domestic debt service amount, and I'm sure that's what our colleague was asking. Now, that will be, if we do nothing, then that is the amount we need to pay via coupon pay, transactions, and not on the stock that we are holding. So that also will be flexed down. But let's not forget that it's not total. The idea is there will be exceptions, like the individuals are out. That also has treasury bills coupon payments, so the treasury bills component will also be out, will be in the existing instruments as they are. Then the new one would kick in with the terms for 2023, as the Honourable Minister has mentioned. So one of the key outcomes from this is that those numbers you are seeing would have to have a natural flex. So that, I think, provides clarity on those 2 sides. Then, right.
Because at this crucial point, I expect that you have an idea how much it will draw down. So roughly, it will draw down by this figure, so that we can put the right dimension.
Yeah, you are taking me, you said you put the right information out, but you are taking me into the realm of guesstimate, because the issue the Honorable Minister mentioned is that it's a voluntary exchange. So there is not a clear element because we are going to deal with you. It's not a by force. If it's by force, I can tell you with certainty. I can tell you 32 is off. I can tell you that the holdouts from individuals is about 8 billion. I can give you all of that with certainty. But once it has an element of voluntary, let's be careful. The right information has to be done rightly. So I'll beg you to just hang on to that. And not that we are not able to, we can guess what range it is, but we'll give you the right information as the time goes on. Then there was a question about the IMF and then the multilaterals. Yes, the IMF program that we are envisaging to reach a service level agreement as early as practical in the next few weeks with your support. But also the IMF serves as a very good catalytic institution to kick in a lot of multilateral or bilateral supports. So you're right, we can get a number of support mechanisms that will come in to ensure that the financing of the budget is complemented by those resources. Then you made a reference also to the element of fiscal discipline. I think we all cannot agree with you more. The fiscal discipline is going to be extremely key. Going forward with an IMF program, with our own laws and structural reforms, where most of them have been highlighted in the budget statement, and I would call that you take a look at that, will be extremely key going forward in terms of fiscal discipline. And I believe that one of the major things, I think somebody asked, how are we going to communicate? Under a debt treatment of this nature, communication will be extremely important. So you will notice that we would have regular communication with you. There will be regular flyers, there will be regular reportage, there will be regular engagement. The issues are technical, the issues can be difficult, and the issues may be unprecedented. So it is important that we inform you, we be with you as we go through the journey. So please rest assured that for most of you in the communication elements, there will be a lot of discussions with key actors who are here from the government side to ensure that it's done. The other question that I saw was the sources of funding for the Financial Stability Fund. Here, it's a combination of sources, both multilateral and then from ourselves. A lot of discussions. I think the details in there will be rolled out later on by the regulator and the central bank, but then most of the sources will be from domestic itself and external. And that is a very important intervention to ensure that there's a backstop that would provide liquidity for institutions to meet any demands that you would have. I think I overheard reportage that people are going to savings and loans to pick. I think in banking, when we have a run, we can run into a deeper crisis. I will call that these measures are to provide comfort for us. So let us exercise restraint and let us not cause unintended effect by this very, very important message that we have today. Now, on the element of, I think, Madam, I believe I've finished every question, or is there any outstanding? Right. Sure.
Where are we drawing the money into the financial stability fund? And did you at any point see the entry in terms of debt and stability? And the IMF, and we did some local dollar bonds. How was it treated? Part of the domestic program or treated as a service?
Very good point. This is where the Honorable Minister will come in. I'll still take my leave and then the Honorable Minister will be around.
I will now invite the Honorable Minister for his concluding remarks, but kindly note that there will be further technical engagement with the media beyond this live stream so that we get to, explain further some of the issues that you may not understand.
Thank you very much indeed. And I think you will be interacting with Ms. Ruth Botio. Could you get up so that they see you? And she would be the nexus for your discussions. But as you can see, some ARCAs and a number of our ministry directors, Agliko and Co., will be available for consistent interaction on the technical aspect of it. But I think the key thing really, when it's all said and done, is our own mindset as to where we are going and what type of trust and what type of accountability that government would also bring to bear. But we cannot afford a disorderly approach to this because we know the crisis is upon us. I think the question was therefore, I guess implicit in the question was, did we know that this was coming and we did not do anything about it? It just strikes me as odd for us to have this sort of two apocalyptic events in world history, and for somehow all of us to have been able to see it when you look at trillions of dollars that those with reserve currencies have been able to put into their system. So it's not an issue of a smirk or whatever. And if you look at the way in which we really invested in our people over this period, you expect a certain return over a certain period. If that is, cut short by events that you cannot expect, the returns to you do not come as they should. So yes, certain efficiencies could have been done, but let's be very clear that these years, 6 years, have been ones of unprecedented social interventions, which really is about building our human capital and turning the way forward. So we are here, and how best do we use these moments to build a stronger economy? That's what. So we really are looking for the media to truly participate with us, and rally people, because the extent to which our interest charges consume some 70% and sometimes 100% of our revenues is something that is not sustainable. And it's really a recalibration, therefore, of the whole interest rate regime so that we move into a sustainable orbit that we'll tend to continue with. But yes, let me truly thank you for your presence. We will engage. I think our deputy ministers have been on radio and TV this morning. That will continue. Ruth will set up a system that ensures that there is enough information out there for everyone. And the truth of the matter is that this may be one of the most effective collaboration of the regulators, the issue of liquidity, so there's no need to rush for your money because certain forbearances will also be given to these institutions to help. So in a sense, this is an opportunity to have a pretty orderly exit through this and use that period to also build up on the issue of an export-driven economy, get our macro statistics in order, put our nose to the grinder, and make sure that we come out of this a much, much stronger economy than we have. So we ask for your support in this, and we as government also committed to fiscal rectitude and ensuring that next year, even though it's going to be difficult, is a year in which we'll cross a Rubicon. So thank you very much, Minister, for this opportunity, and thanks for coming.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister, distinguished invited guests. I must say that before last night's announcement and today's press engagement, we had information about so much misinformation within the media space. I beg you, especially now that you know the official position, if anyone is out there to speculate and throw some wrong information around, use your platform to subject them to strict proof, the basis for which they are spreading those information contrary to what the Ministry of Finance and those who are working on this program have brought out. So we really count on your continuous collaboration and support so that we can engage in a lot more public education, as this topic is quite technical and so many people may not understand at first. And I thank you so much for making time this morning and hope to meet you again some other time.